So, what is self abandonment and how do you stop abandoning yourself in your own relationship? Before we get into how, I want to talk about what this actually looks like day to day because self abandonment can be something that you don't even notice from the outside. And honestly, it can be hard to notice within yourself, but it looks like minimizing your own feelings before anyone else even gets the chance to. It looks like not voicing what you need because you've already decided it's not worth the conversation. And it looks like staying quiet about what's really going on with you over and over in 100 different small moments that on their own probably don't mean too much. But when you add all that up, it's something much bigger. I'm Karen. I'm a relationship coach, and this is something I see in almost every woman that I work with in some form or another. So let's talk about why this happens and what you can actually do about it. So, why does this happen? It's because at some point in your life, it worked and was even necessary to be able to make sure that your needs were met and that you stayed connected to the people in your life. Kids are incredibly adaptable. They don't get to choose the environment they grow up in, so they learn how to function inside of it. If speaking up leads to criticism, maybe you learn to stay quiet. If expressing your emotions made someone upset or angry, maybe you learn to keep them to yourself. And if the adults around you are unpredictable, maybe you get really good at reading the room before deciding what version of yourself is the safest to be in that moment. Those aren't mistakes that you made, those are adaptations. And I know I talk about childhood experiences a lot, and there's a lot there. It's totally true and something to pay attention to. But we also learn these adaptations in our adult relationships as well. The thing is, though, these adaptations do not change on their own. If nothing challenges them, they become habits, and then they become part of your personality. And eventually, they become the way that you move through relationships in your life. A lot of times, women will tell me, this is just always the way I've been. And what that tells me is that you've been doing it for so long, you just don't even remember any other way. And that makes a lot of sense. When I ask someone, what is the fear on the other side of telling your truth? Your actual experience, your disappointment or your hurt, your needs, what's going on there, your boundaries. What are you afraid is going to happen? Everyone has an answer for that question. And it's something like this. He's going to be upset with me. He's going to think I'm selfish. He'll stop talking to me. He'll think I'm being dramatic. He'll leave. I want you to notice what every single one of those answers has in common. They're all about someone else's reaction. That's why self abandonment is often actually an attempt to control the outcome of a situation. You're trying to prevent the rejection, prevent the conflict, prevent that disappointment. You're trying to avoid the possibility of that disconnection. And in doing that, you're also trying to create certainty in a situation where it just doesn't exist. And I get it, because if you've spent years believing that conflict is dangerous or creates disconnection, of course you're going to try to avoid it. But here's the question I want you to sit with. How often has avoiding conflict actually created the relationship you want? Not temporarily in the moment, but long term. Has staying quiet made you feel more connected? Has swallowing your feelings made you feel more understood? Has pretending you're okay made you feel more loved? Usually the answer is no. What this does create is a relationship where one person knows almost everything about how everybody else feels and almost nothing about herself. That's one of the biggest costs of self abandonment. You become incredibly skilled at reading everybody else. You know when your partner is stressed before he even says it. You know when your kids are struggling. You know when your friend is upset, even when she insists that she's fine. You're empathetic, but somewhere along the line, you stopped using that same attention for yourself. That's an imbalance. It can be a good thing to be empathetic towards others, but only if you have your own ability to know how you're feeling and take care of yourself within that empathy. Otherwise, empathy without boundaries turns into over responsibility. You feel responsible for keeping everyone happy, making conversations go well, for making sure someone else doesn't feel disappointed. You even feel responsible for someone else's emotional maturity and making sure that they're comfortable hearing the thing that you want to say. It's an impossible job. And just because you have an awareness of what's going on with the other person doesn't put you in charge of taking care of it. And that's the hardest shift we have to make, realizing that our job isn't to manage someone else's reaction. Your job is to be honest about what's going on with you. Those are very different jobs. One is not even possible, honestly. And the other is hard because it feels so uncomfortable when it's not something you've ever been used to doing. Now, I'm saying all of this, and you might be thinking, whoa, this is a lot harder than it sounds. And you're totally right. I want you to know that I have absolutely lived this, and I know how hard it is to figure out what's happening, to know what you want it to look like instead, and then to actually start to put it in place. It can be super hard, and I absolutely get it, but it is possible with the right support to help you through it and learn this new way of showing up in your relationships with yourself and your partner. So, I want to be specific about two different ways this actually shows up in relationships because I've noticed that it's different when we're just starting a relationship than when we're full on in it. The kind of self abandonment that shows up at the very beginning of a relationship looks like this. You meet someone and you find yourself saying, yeah, I like that too. Or, yeah, I can do that. I can be that. And even if there's a piece in there that's genuinely true to us, we can make it seem more exaggerated or be more willing than we normally would to have that be a piece of us. And it's as a way to establish the connection in the first place. And then later, once the relationship exists and you're in it, it shows up a little differently. Then it becomes about holding on to the relationship, maintaining it, and it becomes more situational. So, this is where that people pleasing comes in those tiny moments to avoid disrupting the connection that you've built. So, you don't say anything, you don't push back, you go along, you stay flexible, you go with the flow because keeping the peace feels safer than risking what you've built. Both of these are a way of overfunctioning and overgiving, even if there's actually that peace inside of all that that's true. And for someone who is genuinely nice, giving, caring, and honestly a relaxed, go with the flow kind of a person, which honestly is most people that I talk with who are dealing with this self-abandonment issue. It can be very hard to distinguish between the two. So I want to give you a small tip that can actually help you start with all this. The next time you feel the urge to soften something before you say it, to avoid a topic that's important to you, or agree to do something for someone, slow down first. Give yourself a second to check in with you and notice your motivation for it. Is it because it really feels right for you and what you want, or is it something you're doing to avoid an uncomfortable outcome on the other side? And for me, I actually had a really hard time hearing that part of me in the moment. And so what I did was I started paying attention to how I felt afterwards. So if you're upset about it, right? If you start to feel resentful because something wasn't reciprocated or because you feel like you're the only one doing these things, when those feelings come up after, that can be a sign that maybe that wasn't the right move for you. And now you have good information about what you can do for yourself differently next time. Because this is never about shame or blame. It's always about starting to build awareness about yourself, how to lean into that so that you can live more genuinely in your life and your relationships. I hope this was helpful for you. If you want to go deeper on this, I want you to check out my free masterclass. It relates directly to everything we talked about today. The link is below. And if you're ready to actually talk through your specific situation and get the help you need, you can book a free consultation call with me. That link is also below. I'll see you in the next one.